Hello everyone! From dramas to webtoons to novels, explore Korea's story with us. This is Who Reads Story. My name is An Sung-jin. I'm a news reporter, and here we have a guest that visits us again. Welcome back.
Hi guys. I think you have seen me in the old episodes, but if you're new to this episodes, I'm Shweta Salian. I'm from India. I'm a student here and also a content creator. My major is media and communications, and that's why I like to watch different movies or dramas, and that's why I'm here as well.
Yeah, Shweta and I were talking about how it's nice to have you again because I feel like the conversation has a lot to offer, which is why I'm excited to talk about today's movie, which is more so like this rom-com melodrama. And I'm wondering if you watch these type of movies often?
Honestly, I love a romantic movie, but I just don't like to watch plain romance. I want something. I hope there's something thrill or something other story behind the romance story. But this time I watched a simple movie, but still it was very refreshing and calming.
Right. So I guess there are romance movies where they have, whether you said it like thriller, some aspect of horror, rom-com like comedy. Yeah. But this one, as you mentioned, is more of a bit more plain and a very straightforward style of a melodrama. Now for today, the movie that we're going to be talking about is Christmas in August, which is quite funny because, the irony between Christmas and August is obviously different. But this movie was released in 1998 by director Heo Jin-ho. And I just found that the title is quite interesting. It's kind of like, going through Christmas and summer, which already sounds awkward for us.
Yeah. And to be honest, I feel like I misinterpreted the title because when I think of Christmas, I thought, there's going to be something extravagant. Right. So I was waiting, and it was but not really. Sad. Yeah, it was a bit sad.
Right. Now, for our viewers who haven't watched it, it's not much of a spoiler, but the title, you have to think about why the title is Christmas in August. Now, I feel like the movie itself is already quite famous within Korea because the actors that are being starred in, whether it be Shimuna and Han Seok-yu, both are very famous, renowned actors in Korea. And now, for our viewers who are from abroad outside of Korea, this movie may not be familiar. Now, to briefly kind of introduce the movie or set the tone, this movie is a melodrama that talks about, it's set in, the 1990s, which is when the movie was around released, and it really does pull out that romance movie when it was gaining a lot of popularity in Korea. So it's, quite some time ago.
Yeah, for me, since this movie did not have many dramatic scenes, I had to watch, I had to focus on every scene so that I get it. So even after watching, to make sure I watched it correct, I searched for summary.
Oh, I see.
It was all in my language, Hindi.
Oh, interesting.
I realized that it was really famous in my country.
Really? It is well known in India.
I couldn't find English summary, but they had Hindi, different Indian languages. So I watched it in my language, so it was so interesting for me.
Do you think there's a reason why it's so famous or popular among Indians?
I think because Indians love stories.
That's why. I see. But yeah, no, just as you mentioned, I feel like it's something that is quite commonly talked about among Koreans. And, the reason why it has been getting so much popularity or famous, it's the reason why it's been gaining so much popularity is because now right after it's released, it was performed in the Blue Dragon Film Festival and it was awarded the Best Picture and Best Actress. So I feel like that already kind of shows how much fame the movie itself was gaining. And obviously the style itself, the melodrama style that it was showed throughout the movie was quite new for back then, and it was also quite sensational, which is why I think it garnered a lot of attention. And it was kind of titled as this new sensibility in romance films, which is why for us maybe it's kind of a bit straightforward, but back then in the 1990s it was gaining a lot of popularity.
And it is also my first Korean 90s film, so it was interesting to watch and also compared to India's 90s film.
Right.
India's 90s film is very dramatic.
Really?
Yeah, they have sound effects for everything.
Oh, is it like the Bollywood kind of type where we have
Bollywood
effects?
But it was more more dramatic.
Oh, I see. That's
More
interesting.
like the musical we watch these days. It was more.
So a lot of sound effects,
Yeah,
a lot of dramatic
songs.
I see. That's interesting.
Yeah. So watching this was like very different for me, but still I enjoyed.
Right, for you, I guess it was interesting to see kind of how the styles of love or these melodrama movies compared to India, it was in Korea. Now for you, since you've freshly watched it, you've also read the summary in Hindi, I'm sure you can give our viewers a good overview or a good preview of what the plot itself is.
Okay, so this movie, Christmas in August, is about a man named Chungwon who has a photo studio. And there's this girl who is a traffic warden who has to develop pictures every time she clicks pictures of vehicles violating like parking, like rules and everything.
Right.
So she visits the photo studio often, and that's how they keep like meeting. But Chungwon realizes that he does not have much time to live,
which is sad already.
He doesn't tell her.
Right.
And rest is up to you for like watching. I don't want to spoil much, but I think if you want to know what happens, you should watch the story.
Right. Yeah. I guess Shweta kind of gives like a good brief synopsis of how the story unfolds itself, but already the main character not having enough time to live is kind of, maybe it's a bit cliche already nowadays, but still I feel like that adds on to the storyline of this melodrama, and especially because, the woman doesn't know about it, and how these two kind of unfold and how their love story goes on is up for our viewers to watch, so, we're not going to spoil it. And for you, when you first watched this movie, what was it like? What did you think about it? Like, what were your first impressions?
For me, more than watching a movie, it was like watching real life scenes that I've captured myself, and I have to like guess what's happening. There was no direct like I like you or something. They would just like look at each other and smile, then smile amongst their friends and everything. So I think noticing the details was fun, and like guessing part was fun for me.
I feel like it's almost like a modern love story, because nowadays no one really says like I like you, I love you. It's all I have feelings for you, but like no, it's no longer explicit.
That's why more than a movie, it felt like real life.
I was gonna say the same thing. Right. It felt very realistic. It was more so almost reflecting on how people, just live their lives and have that romantic part of their life going on, which is why it was interesting for me, honestly.
Same.
And again, you've mentioned the photo studio.
Yeah, and I was curious if I can just go back to the locations I watched yesterday.
Right.
Is it there?
That's a really good question, because for, people that have watched it and maybe found interested in it, this photo studio where the main character Chungwon is actually working at is actually a photo studio in Gunsan city. Ooh. So, for those that are interested in visiting all these locations, they can visit it, and a lot of fans already have visited.
Oh, really? How far is it?
It's actually Seoul? I'd say you'd have to take like either a train or a bus ride, and I think it's a couple hours. So,
maybe 2-3 hours?
Yeah, maybe, I think so. Yeah. So, if any of our viewers are interested in, please give it a visit. I'm just gonna go through the comments to see if anyone has left some memorable comments. Yeah, so we see, I found the comment interesting for Han Seok-kyu, his smile. That's the main character, Chungwon.
Yeah,
and he's also a very, well-known and renowned actor. And, it's so funny how someone wrote that there are a lot of good restaurants in Gunsan. So, if our viewers end up going to the photo spa, you can also enjoy any of those as well. So it's interesting how the director brings out all these emotions through such popular and famous actors. Now, if you think about it, the classic Korean romance movie or these melodramas are a bit more, I'd say, conceptual, very basic. You have a kiss scene, or you have all these lines that really make the viewers kind of feel heartwarmed or cheesy or anything like that. And, we've already talked about it a bit, but didn't you find that this movie is a little bit different from all those conceptualized K-romance movies?
For example, like in today's movies or dramas, when there's something like when something happens between the two main leads, then suddenly song plays behind.
Oh, of course.
And there's dramatic zooms on their faces.
Right. I feel like, yeah, you're right. It's like zoom in the most bring out all the emotional appeal from the characters.
And then it ends, and then there's like advertisement of something.
Right. We'll be back in 1 minute. That's true. That's really interesting. Speaking of like soundtracks, you know, for our viewers that might be interested in the movie, they should actually give a listen to the original soundtrack in this movie because the actor Han Seok-kyu himself sang a song, which is why it was interesting for me personally.
Also, one thing, I think the female lead looks similar to the female lead from Lovely Runner. Do you know?
Love Runner.
Kim Hae-yoon, maybe?
Oh, I see.
Like, in the beginning, when I saw the profile, I was like,
I see.
How old is she? And then I was like, oh, there's some other person.
Right. A couple
like
years have passed.
Her smile is a bit similar.
Maybe it's because both are very, you know, renowned actresses of the time. So back then it was Shimuna in the 1990s. Now it's Kim Hae-yoon. So maybe there is a specific character.
I think more than the face, their acting
style. Right.
It seemed similar for me.
Right.
So it was interesting to watch.
It's interesting. And also, I guess, you know, we've just kind of talked about it, but what this movie really conveys, it's not through the lines specifically. It's not by these straightforward words that the actors say, but it's more so the emotion or the facial expressions or how one acts that they try to convey the emotion of love, which is why I think it becomes a little bit more interesting and maybe not as straightforward for us as viewers.
I feel like this movie is more of a visual story than dialogue because that's why, like, usually when I watch dramas or like movies, I sometimes like play it in the background and do my own work. But this time I had to like
you had to put all your attention.
But I liked it.
Right.
It was a new experience.
Right. I guess, yeah, that's why, you know, because of how much is happening just through the scenes, you have to pay attention to the screen itself. And now for you, out of, you know, all these romance or melodrama movies, you obviously have two types of styles, right? You have the more straightforward, deliver your emotions through the lines type of romance movie. And you also have the movie like Christmas in August where everything seems to be more conveyed through facial expressions or, you know, body language. Which one do you think makes your heart flutter more?
I think it depends on my mood, but when you watch like slow or like calming movies like this, you get more butterflies.
Right,
because,
that's true.
oh, when are they going to look each other in the eyes?
Right.
Like, what is happening? When is it going to happen?
Right.
Like,
yeah. Same. I think sometimes, you know, emotions are better delivered when they're not directly through words, but more so through, you know, body language or how they look at each other, like the eye contact sometimes I think means more, and it seems to sometimes say more than actual words or through conversations. And now we've talked about the title already quite a bit. Now I want to mention specifically the contrast of Christmas in August.
Okay.
How would you understand this or interpret this title?
Like I said in the beginning, I thought Christmas was something extravagant, but then when I think of like Christmas, then winter, and then snow, then I could understand that maybe it's like a bit sad story, but at the same time, not exactly sad because the movie teaches us to like live in the moment and just live our life to the fullest and everything. So I think it was a happy message as well. Right. Not just a sad story. Way.
Which is why I guess that word Christmas almost has like a duality to it. Like it has a dual meaning to it. Yes, it may not be the most festive or extravagant way of expressing it, but also at the same time it gives you that subtle excitement or that subtle still happiness that kind of gets undelivered.
I feel like maybe it's like winter, so it's sad, but still we wait for Christmas. So, okay.
I was gonna say, I was gonna say, at least Christmas makes you feel like there's something to look forward to. And I feel like within this movie itself, it already has a lot of contrast, like we saw with the title, you know, Christmas in August already itself is kind of a contrast. But also, I think this movie itself expresses sadness in its own uniqueness because, as you said, it's not just about sobbing or like mourning over death and the main character knowing about it and all over that. It's more so a subtle way of expressing sadness. You know, for us, the August title seems to be implying when new life kind of blooms, when all new life comes into place, but also at the same time, when we kind of alluded back to the characters, Jongwon, the main character, and Tarim, the main woman lead, are about to start their own romance, but also at the same time, Jongwon is preparing for his last moments, which is why I guess it becomes a little bit sad, but
at the same time, I liked how positive he was and how he was trying to like cope up with the situation and also learn like life lessons throughout the movie. So it was very nice.
Right, and it didn't feel like as if, you know, the director was really pushing on all these sadness emotions onto the audience. He was more so like throwing it out there, very subtle, and he was almost putting it out there for the audience to answer it themselves.
For example, like you said, it was very subtle. For example, when there's a death scene in any movie or any drama, it's so like the whole scene is like really dramatic and sad, but this time they just showed as if it was like, I mean, it is like a natural happening in our life and it's going to keep happening. And they didn't make it as like really like the worst thing in the world.
Yeah. Because I feel like they expressed it in such a subtle but delicate way, the scene didn't necessarily become all grim and like pessimistic. It's death, like dramatic, all that. It was more so just, you know, it's death and it's separation, but it doesn't have to be so dramatic. It's something that, as you said, that kind of happens in our daily lives. It's not something that we have to be too, I don't know, aware of because it just happens so often. And, you know, for our viewers who may enjoy this type of subtle movie, another Korean movie with the same director titled One Fine Spring Day is also a piece that I would recommend. They also have really good original soundtracks within this movie. So, you know, for our movie viewers that also like to listen to the soundtrack, I would recommend it. For Koreans, you know, it's almost too famous that no one wouldn't know about it. It's
Which one is more famous, like this one or One Fine Spring Day?
For me, I'd say I knew One Fine Spring Day before I knew Christmas in August. But maybe it's the timeline. Maybe it's the time frame, depending on like, you know, what generation you're in. You might have a preference or you might have something that you're more familiar with, which is why, you know, for this delicate and refined emotion movie, our viewers might, you know, have a look at it.
Even I'll watch it.
Right, and even Shwara, you can also have a look at it. I'm just gonna go to the comments to see. It's kind of, it makes sense that people were like crying towards the ending credits.
It says, it's sadder that there's no sobbing scene.
I feel like sometimes, you know, when you see the main character cry, it makes it less sad, as you just said, because it feels like the emotions are really confined, and that makes it even sadder. Which is why I totally would agree with the comment. And I feel like how, you know, the comments are praising the actors, that they're legendary, which is also very true. And these pieces are really masterpieces of the Korean cinema, especially in the melodrama genre.
Like you said in the beginning that like foreign fans might not know much about this movie, but from the comments, I feel like a lot of people know that movie.
Right, exactly.
I didn't know that.
So maybe this movie is gaining a lot of popularity even outside of India or the Asian countries that are nearby us. And now for us, you know, we've talked about it, how the scenario kind of unfolds, but for us, do you think it would have been different? For example, you know, if you were to put yourselves in the shoes of Jongwon.
I don't want to, but if I was him, I feel like I would have told her that
straightforward.
Maybe not about my feelings, but that, I have this illness or something.
I will die eventually.
Yeah, I wish not just like my partner or someone, I wish like someone close to me knows about my situation, because it can be confusing for them as well. I felt sad for her because he was like gone and she didn't know much about it.
Right. For me, it's a really tough question because yes, on one hand, I would want to tell it beforehand so they know and they can at least prepare it and, you know, make the most out of the time we have. But also at the same time, if I don't tell it and walk away and not even confess my feelings, then it wouldn't be a pain for them. I'm conflicted.
This is a like hard situation.
It is a hard situation.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We might be saying this, but if we were
If
in
you
that
were in
situation,
the-
we don't know like what we would have done.
Right, we don't know what would have actually happened. So, you know, for our viewers who maybe have watched the movie or who would put their shoes in the same spot as the main characters, Chungwon or Darim, let us know how you would act, because obviously we gave the scenario on how we would act, but obviously it might be different in real life if it actually happens. So, you know,
I hope it doesn't happen. That's
hopefully, you're right. Hopefully we don't have to be worrying about this. So far we've talked about Christmas in August, which is a famous movie that was released in 1998 by director Heo Jin-ho. And we've obviously dealt in a bit more under the fact than just a romance movie, but it was still quite interesting to talk about, melodrama.
I feel like it's a romance movie, but also in India we call it piece of life genre.
Okay.
So it gives you, I think that's why Indians might have liked it. I think they like such genres where you have some kind of message about life in the movie. So I thought it was like romance and piece of life genre.
Right. It was interesting because it's not all about these cliche conceptualized romance movies, but it also had this meaning underlying it, whether it be about, the meaning of life, refined, and all these delicate emotions that we really were able to see it through the characters. And, ironically, since the title is, Christmas in August, and we are kind of going towards the end of August. If our viewers, for those looking to spend a refreshing way of their August and summer, they should give it a watch and, try to put their shoes in the same scenario like the main characters we're going through. And would you recommend it to anyone else other than your, maybe Indians that like the peace and life type of movie?
I think everyone who loves like Korean, not just romance movies, but like Korean movies, they must watch it at least once because it's one of the famous classics in Korea. Then maybe you're a true Korean movie or drama fan.
Right.
So at least one time.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure, because this movie is so well known among Koreans. For Korean movie lovers or for Korean content lovers, I guess this movie could be something that, our viewers or for people out there could watch. Now, so far for today, we've talked about this melodrama that is kind of a signature piece from the 1990s, which was Christmas in August. I feel like we really talked about the true meaning of love and what it was like to find it through this subtle, refined way. Now that's all we have for Who Eats Story today. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment and subscribe to our channel. Again, Shora, thank you for being with us on this episode. Hope you had fun talking about melodrama. And we will see you next week with another episode on Korean content. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.